Hello students, welcome to our grade 8 mathematics program. As mentioned last time, we have prepared a series of revision videos for you. So the topic on which we will revise today is inequalities. So let us start. Today we will revise how to represent linear inequalities on a number line and how to solve linear inequalities. So a quick recap on the inequality signs. First one, this is what we call less than. Here we have greater than. This one is less than or equal to. And the last one is greater than or equal to. First example. Rewrite the following statements using less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So you have some different parts. Part A. Mass m kilogram of Megan is less than 60 kilograms. So here you have m less than 60. Part B. Length of table L meters is greater than 1.5 meters. So you will have L greater than 1.5 meters. Part C. The speed limit x km per hour on Saint-Jacques Street is 60 km per hour. So what does it mean? It means that you can drive at a maximum speed of 60 kilometers per hour. So x is going to be less or equal to 60 kilometers per hour. Part D. T is greater than or equal to 3.5. So I write it as T greater than or equal to 3.5. Now, let us have a look on inequalities on a number line. So I have to represent each of these on a number line. Now, we need to be careful. Whenever we will have only less than or greater than, we shall use an empty circle. And if we have greater or equal to, or less or equal to, we will use what we call a full circle. So the first one, x greater than 0. What does it mean? It means that x can take any value which is greater than 0, but it cannot be equal to 0. So on my number line, I will have an empty circle at 0 to show that x cannot be equal to 0 and any values on the right hand side of 0. So one tip which I will give you is, if you look at this inequality sign, greater than, now look at the arrow of my line. You can see that they both point towards the right. So when you have greater, it should go to the right. Next one, x less than minus 1. So less than minus 1 here, x can take any value less than minus 1, but it cannot be equal to minus 1. So again, I will have an empty circle, and here, since it is less than, it will take values on the left hand side. So you can again check the direction of my arrow and the inequality sign. They both point towards the left. Next one, x greater than or equal to minus 2. So here, x can be equal to minus 2. Therefore, I will have a full circle at minus 2 to indicate that x can be equal to minus 2. And my arrow will point towards the right, same as my inequality sign. Meaning that x can take any values on the right hand side of minus 2. Part D. So I'm sure now you'll know how to do it. X less than or equal to 4. So here I will have a full circle at 4 and my arrow will point towards the left. same as my inequality sign. Next one. Now here we have minus 2 less than x less than 3. So let us have a look at the solution. X will take any values between minus 2 and 3. But because I don't have the equal to sign to both inequality sign, so minus 2 and 3 will not be included. So I will have two empty circles at minus 2 and 3 with a line, showing that x can take any values on this line. Same thing for part B, 2 less or equal to x less than 5. So here 2 will be included. I will have a full circle at 2 and an empty circle at 5. Part C, minus 3 less than x less or equal to 4. So 4 can be included here but not minus 3. I will have an empty circle at minus 3 and a full circle at 4. Part D, minus 5 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 1. So here both minus 5 and 1 will be included. I will have full circles at minus 5 and 1. So we have already looked at how to represent inequalities on a number line, and you have some questions for you to practice. Now we move on to solving inequalities. So what does it mean to solve an inequality? It means to find a range or a set of values which will satisfy the inequality. So the first example, given that x is an integer means whole numbers, and minus 2 less than x less than 3, write down all the possible values of x. We can make use of a number line here to help us. So here x will lie between minus 2 and 3. You can see it on the number line. We have empty circles. So I cannot take minus 2 and 3, but I can take all the other values on my number line. But here we need to take only integer values. So we have minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. Now we have some questions on solving inequalities. So the first part, x plus 3 greater than 7. If you will recall, we are going to use the same concept that we have used in solving equations. So we are going to add the additive inverse of plus 3 to both sides of my inequality. So the only difference is that for equations I have equal to, whereas here I will have an inequality sign. So I will get x greater than 4. Part B, x minus 2 less than 8. So again, I will add the additive inverse of minus 2, which is 2, to both sides to get x less than 10. Part C, x minus 4 less or equal to 3. So I add 4 to both sides to get x less or equal to 7. Part D, x plus 5 greater than or equal to 6. I add minus 5 to both sides and get x greater than or equal to 1. Next example, 3x greater than or equal to 12. So just like for equation, I will multiply by the multiplicative inverse, that is 1/3 on both sides, and I will get x greater than or equal to 4. Part B, y over 4 greater than minus 1. I will multiply by 4 on both sides to get y greater than minus 4. Part C, 4x plus 5 less than 21. So here I need to cancel the 5 first by subtracting 5. to both sides. And then I have to cancel the 4 by multiplying by 1/4 on both sides. So I get x less than 4. Part D. Again, I will have to add 4 to both sides of the inequality. So I get 2s over 3 less or equal to 14. Now the multiplicative inverse of 2/3 is 3 over 2. So I multiply by 3 over 2 to both sides to get s less than or equal to 21. We also have some special cases in inequalities, and you need to be very careful about these. So let us consider a simple example. You all know that 1 is less than 4. Now, if I multiply or I divide by -1 on both sides, I will get -1 less than -4. But you know that -1 is not less than -4. -1 is in fact greater than -4. So what we can see is if 1 is less than 4, if I multiply or divide by -1, then we have a reverse, that is -1 is greater than -4. Similarly, if we consider 1 less than 4 again, but this time we take the reciprocal. So I have 1 over 1 less than 1/4. But we know that 1 is not less than 1/4. 1 is greater than 1/4. So when I take the reciprocal, I will have 1/4 less than 1, or I can even say 1 greater than 1/4. So let us use these now to solve some inequalities. Part A, -5x less than 20. So I will have to multiply by -1/5 on both sides. But because I'm multiplying by a negative number, I will have to reverse the inequality sign at the same time. This is very important. Whenever you're multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you need to change the sign. If it is greater, it becomes less. If it is less, it will become greater. Very often students forget to change this sign. So this will give me x greater than -4. Similarly, part B, minus t over 2 greater than 7. So here I will have to multiply by -2 on both sides and reverse the inequality sign. So this gives me t less than -14. Part C, 2 minus 3x less than -16. So I add -2 on both sides and I multiply by -1/3 on both sides and reversing the inequality sign at the same time to get x greater than 6. Part D, 1 minus 6w over 3 greater than or equal to -7. So I multiply by 3 on both sides. I have 1 minus 6w greater than or equal to -21. I add -1 on both sides. Now I have minus 6w greater than or equal to -22. So I multiply by -1 over 6 on both sides and I reverse the inequality sign. I get w less than or equal to 11 over 3. So you have some questions here for you to practice. and you also have a link where you can practice some more. Now, we have also learned in the chapter of equation that you can make use of GeoGebra to solve equations. Similarly here, you can make use of GeoGebra to solve inequalities. So students, we have reached the end of the revision program on inequalities. There are some important tips which have been given throughout this session, and I hope you will bear in mind these important tips while working out your questions on inequalities. So until we meet again, it's goodbye.